What is going on? So guess what? We're doing something different today. We only work on cars and bikes, but today we're gonna be working on a tattoo chair, tattoo couch, tattoo lying down table. But I wanted to show you something before we get going on that. We make matching door panels for some of the seat kits that we make and stuff. And this is a very cool one. This is all heavy thread, green diamond, Ceraphil thread. And then here's actually another one. This one is for the yellow seats, well, black with yellow seats we did in one of the previous videos. This is his door panels and kick panels. So we make them so that they match. I just wanted to show you that. Now we're gonna go, well, Grace already sewed up a lot of the tattoo chair, table, couch. It's couch. This couch. Lie down on it. I guess it's like, oh, bed. It's a tattoo bed. Now I just have to sew the edge on it and pattern it, finish patterning it, and we're gonna put it together. Okay, I'm doing an energy drink, I think. Hopefully this is an energy drink, otherwise I'm just drinking one of these drinks for no reason. I need energy. I'm getting too old to put in these hours. I just told my wife today that I'm not gonna be working weekends anymore. And she goes, oh, you think after 20-something years of working 7 days a week, you're gonna finally take a couple of days off from now on? Let's sew this. A lot of times what we'll do when we're making these pieces, we always make our patterns bigger, or our pieces bigger, and we sew our pleats in there because they always shrink down on us and stuff, and then we put our patterns on it. This one, I'm a little worried. I usually glue it a little better. I told Grace to glue it extremely lightly, and she did, like she was supposed to, but there's a lot of wrinkles in it, so we're gonna have to stretch it, and because this bed is so large, I'm a little bit worried. Now I marked my pattern out. I'm just gonna go around and sew the edge to lock off all these threads that are on there. I'm gonna crank this down a little bit, and here we go. We are off. I brought the thread size down a little bit just so I have a little more tighter threads to go over the other threads. I don't want them to back off. I don't even know if you can hear me because this machine's kind of loud. Here we go. So that's thread machine, cranking along here. And finish line. There we go. Let's trim this bad boy up. Okay, so you can see here, I marked our pattern out. I stitched this tight line over all of these threads. Now I'm just gonna go through and cut. Well, I'll cut over here so you can see it. I'm gonna cut on the outside of this. We don't wanna touch the thread we did. We'll keep it about a 1/16 of an inch away from the thread we just put on there. So let's grab these two. This one goes 3. That's not there. We need French seams. 2, 1, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. So I ran out of bobbin thread right in the middle of sewing a top stitch. I'll show you how we fixed it. So we're gonna pull this on the inside. We're gonna grab the bobbin thread, the black bobbin thread, pull it through, and that'll pull the top stitch through, which is our heavier can thread. Now we're gonna tie these two off. Make a nice little knot here. And uno. Leave this long. My next one I'm going to tie it to that one as well. Change the bobbin thread. Wind a new bobbin thread as we're doing it. I like to wind my bobbin thread as I'm doing it. I know a lot of guys use the pre-done bobbins. For some reason, they just don't sound right in the machine when I use them. They're all clanky and loose and weird sounding, so I don't know. It could never cause a problem. It could just be my mind because I've been so used to hearing the machine make a certain noise for so many years that when you put the pre-done bobbins in there, it actually vibrates and chatters and makes a lot of noise, so it kind of stresses me out. I don't like to be stressed out. Okay, I just put a new bobbin in the bottom, so now what I'm gonna do is come through here, and we are gonna go right in the hole that we stopped at. Right, pull my thread and just get going. So I'm not gonna tie this off now. I want to get a bunch of threads on it. If you stop and you try to tie it off, sometimes you'll pull your threads out. So now I'm just going to do this top stitch right to the end. Boom. Now we're gonna go back, find the spot where we left off right here, because you can see where we started, and do the same thing. Pull the bobbin thread through, which pulls the top thread through. Now we have 2 threads here, 2 threads, Fred. Our actual old bobbin thread's still out of whack here. So now I'm gonna take the new one, and we're gonna sew them together. We're gonna tie in a knot. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm gonna take this one from before that I left long. I got caught underneath there. Pull it through. 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna tie to this one. Overkill. I don't want it to ever come apart. 1, 2, 3, and then the little one. 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna trim them, but I'm gonna leave them all about 3/4 of an inch long. You trim them too close, they can fall apart. This is the small piece. I gotta put one more stitch on here and top stitch, and then we can put it on. Woo, yay! Whenever I question the markings for patterning, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll find my center point on both pieces, which I already did on there, and then I'll start from there. The reason you put your marks on there, so you start from one side and go across, and you don't do what I'm doing now. I have a little trick I do, which probably isn't good, but I start off, bada boom, and I'll zip this whole side across, knowing that it's, the reason you don't want to do this is because if you start here and then you start here, you'll have like a quadruple stitch here. And you want your stitches when you pull them to be symmetrical. So what I do a lot of times when I'm worried about it and I want it to be symmetrical, I'm gonna start this stitch on this side, which is the savage side of the material. So here we go, I'm gonna come through here, and right where it would cross over, and make sure the threads are exactly the same, and then just cross over. So now I'll show you, we'll pull it apart. Let's make sure, don't have a double or quadruple stitch here in the middle. So I'm gonna pull it, some light on there, pull it, and when you look at it, there's no extra stitching there. It's all like it should be. Let's do a top stitch and put it together. Ow, I almost ripped my pants. Holy moly. As I'm doing this top stitch, I want to talk a little bit about the wrinkliness in the material and gluing and not gluing. Let me get it started before I start talking. I don't like to talk and work and screw up. This person deserves my full attention when I'm working on their products. So what I am doing is, as I'm doing the top stitch, I'm winding my bobbin. I just gotta get it to lock off. He wants to go, the bobbin thread is the lower thread on the machine. So when you get it started, you want it to go around a certain amount of time so it's tight on the bobbin spool. So as it spools on its own, it's good. Let me do this top stitch. I wanna stay focused on this and make sure it looks good. Ready to put this bad boy together now. So what I was saying about the wrinkles, so you see these here. Some people glue, some people don't glue, and the reasons you glue or don't glue are, if you glue this and then someone kneels on it and it's hot, the glue underneath it could like reactivate and stick itself together. Also, if you go to put something together and you screw up, there's no way to really fix it once it's glued because it's permanent. When you're starting off, a lot of people glue stuff because it's a good way to lock in the material so it doesn't move. However, if you fold material like this and it's glued, you can't get it out. Usually, you don't have these many wrinkles when you're sewing something. What I do is I make sure the material is laid completely flat. I'll sew a perimeter around it so it's nice and tight. Then when you start sewing your threads and your pleats here, you'll actually start to suck it in, so then it actually gets even tighter. It's a little bit of a challenge to do when you're first starting out. That's why I told Grace to put a little bit of glue on there just to hold it from moving, but it's still kind of bound up on her a little bit. So what we're gonna do now is put it together, and hopefully we can pull it tight by heating it and stretching it without overstretching. It's really not bad. If I just take this and just do a little pull, you see how it comes right out. It's not really a big deal. It's just sometimes when you're doing bigger stuff, like if you're doing a motorcycle seat, you could stretch it really hard and you're good and you get the wrinkles out. When you're doing bigger stuff like a bed here, where you have to stretch it, you don't want to stretch it too much because there's so much room that can move that you could take your seams on the side and make them all wanky, and we don't want that. What I'm doing right now is I'm just heating making a mess. I'm heating this up with the heat gun and stretching it till all the wrinkles are out. Once I get to a point where I'm comfortable with this, what I'm gonna do is go around and just measure from my stitch to the bottom line, kind of make like a line around it. This way, as you pull around the backside here, you'll be able to pull it and have a nice straight line, even with this, and then we can measure it and go all the way around it. So it's gonna look something like, let's see if I can do this, right? So we got, right now, from the bottom edge to the stitch, it's pretty much 4 inches. So what I'm gonna do is bring it in a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna do 3.5 inches to the stitch, and we'll mark this all the way around. We're just gonna go around the whole thing, and now we're gonna pull down to this line and everything will be even, hopefully. Okay, a couple things I wanna show you, which are kind of like remedial things. If you look down in here, whenever you do your French seams or a top stitch or anything, when you seam them together on the edge of this, you're gonna pull it and it's a lot stronger, so it's always gonna pull it straight down. We don't want that. So what we do is, again, we can see our marks go like this. So they're higher here, they're always obviously lower there because this goes down. Once we get all these down there, it'll be straight. Also, if you look around the corners here, you can see how it's all janky. And you can also follow these edges. So hopefully, once we heat this and bring these edges all straight across here, this should be nice and straight. Okay, so here's another trick. When you're coming around corners, you can see here how it's all bunched up. I already started to do this one. I didn't say anything because I was just working. But a lot of people will heat up underneath here, and then they'll stretch it and pull this. You really want to heat up right around this area and not the other area. So we're gonna get this nice and warm. And remember, when you're heating up vinyl, if it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for the vinyl. Right now my hand's pretty hot, but I want this pretty warm. See that? Look at that. Look how nice and stretched it is. So now I'm gonna pull this, and I'm pulling, let me see if you can see that razor blade over there, gotta be careful. I'm gonna pull this right up till that line that I drew is right there. Never do what I just did and leave a razor blade on the table. I put these here, my workstation's here, so all my tools are not on the table, because the worst thing you could ever do is get a razor blade or something on the table. So now I'm gonna go through and straighten this line up again, trying to make this nice and straight. Okay. And don't be afraid. A lot of times when you're putting these together, you're gonna have to take staples out. A lot of people think you only have one shot. You'll put the staples in, you'll put them out. If you watch some of my other videos, I kind of show why we staple where we staple. You never want to staple way up here, because then if you have to go backwards, you're gonna have holes up here. So you always want to staple at your farthest point out that you can. I'm not stapling at the edge of material here just because on this piece, there's no staples, just nice wood. The staples actually go into the side here. Now, if our mathematical calculations are right, when we flip this over, we shouldn't have any wrinkles. Moment of truth. And so we have a crease going here, which is actually from the material being folded, but that's gonna come out. That's literally, when it was shipped to us, it had like a weird oblong thing. So we're gonna heat this up a little bit to kind of let it do its own thing, because it's pulled tight. So anything in here is gonna come out. So when you're working with stuff like this, the reason I love motorcycle seats and car interiors and stuff is because you're working with firmer foam. You sculpt the foam perfect. It's not big, thick, and cushy. When you start getting big, thick, and cushy foam, you can overstretch things really easily, so it's a lot harder to work with. Well, it is for me. I like to, again, work with sculpted foam that you have a pattern form fitted cover that goes on it. I'm gonna button this one up and move to the next one. Here we have the finished bed. Gotta clean it up. Just wanted to show you that, and I gotta get the heck out of here. I'm smoking a beef brisket today, and I'm making a curry clams. I'm getting the heck out of here. Oh yeah, and thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell 2 friends, watch our channel. Thanks a lot.